Hi, this is John Harter. Welcome to episode 35 of Valleys of Numenor. The second Selden crisis is about to arrive, but we haven't met the main people who it will involve. They will remedy that situation in this episode. Episode 35, Foundation 0203, King and Commoner. David S. Goyer is in the director's chair again this episode. The beggar has reached its destination, but is it the destination Gaal and Salvor think it is? They're not sure what to think of the fact Salvor may die 150 years in the future, but they'll have to deal with that at some point. Harry decides to take the ship in for a landing, pretty good for a guy who's not really there. He then breaks the news that they're not on Ignis, where they thought they were going, but on Una's world. Harry says he needs to go into a mountain, but needs one of them to carry the Prime Radiant for him. Gaal won't, but Hardin throws the object out there, so they have to go get it. On Terminus, no one's sure what just happened. Polly is arguing with the mayor about whether to actually bring Hober Mallow to the vault. They are very aware of who he is, and they don't particularly care for him. He's a traitor, but not one who follows the rules. But Polly wins the argument, and he and Brother Constant set out to find him on Corel. Harry and Gaal notice a bunch of machines out in the desert, mining devices that left the planet barren. Thanks, Empire. He tells her she may not be doing a good thing letting Salvor know her history may not be the one she saw. When she mentions Hardin solved the first crisis without any psychohistorian, he countered there was supposed to be at least one. They walk the 500 meters they expected above ground, then head into the mountain to go who knows how far down. Out on the Lepsis penal colony, we meet General Bel Riose. Only he is not exactly a commanding figure. He's an unkempt prisoner trying to keep his fellow captives from being killed. Out of nowhere, Demerzel shows up and offers him the chance to leave. They negotiate ever so slightly better conditions for the people there. Boy, hard bargaining. He then turns her down anyway. She then offers to bring his husband out of exile. He thinks he's been dead for years. He'll have to decide if she's telling the truth or not. In the mountain, Harry and Gaal reach a wall or a door they're not in agreement which. She pushes a picture on the wall and they get their answer. It's a door. Inside, they're greeted by Callie or someone or something that looks exactly like her. Harry goes with her and they lock Gaal out. He tells her to leave in 6 hours if he isn't back. On Corel, Commodore Argo is virtually meeting with a traitor Panyetz, or so he says. Everyone knows it's really Hober Mallow. He's trying to get them to buy a casting device, allowing people or things to swap places. Didn't work out so well on the fly, but it allows what's wearing the bracelet to do the swap. Panyetz/Mallow tries to argue against an even sort of trade, but he's forced to do it anyway. So he does the swap, and it works. He then swaps he and Argo back, and Argo notices the famed Eye of Corel jewel is missing, which is what Mallow was after all along. They find him nearby and arrest him with the jewel, which he didn't have a chance to swallow. He's now scheduled to be executed. Sometimes it's just not your day. Speaking of day, Bel Riose is on Trantor to meet the three Cleons. They will send the general to Siwenna, which is a nothing world as far as they know, and he'll see what shape the Foundation is in. Riose wants a private discussion with Day, which is granted. After a few insults back and forth and a decision whether Day wants to get hit or not, Riose apparently makes the right call. He will not strike his emperor as much as he deserves. Day leaves and the spouses are united. He gets cleaned up. Hubby is a good hairstylist, turns out. And the general looks like himself once more. Back on the desert world, Gaal returns to the ship and tells Salvor what she saw. Hardin sees Harry and Gaal have an odd relationship, and she can tell Dornick doesn't want to leave without him. Salvor tells her the old Hardin family motto about not letting your sense of morals stop you from doing what's right, which in this case, we're not sure what that is. Back on Corel, Polly and Constant follow the crowd to watch execution being carried out with Titan's unit, a giant pointed staff, trying to keep this clean. It's pretty gruesome when the first guy gets killed. So Hober's up next. The two clerics run up to him, annoyed that their savior is about to be executed. Polly tries to get Argo to give him a few minutes with Mallow, but can't. Constant offers a quick prayer for help as the condemned keeps talking. And what do you know? It works. Mallow swaps places again. Turns out it wasn't the bracelet that was doing it, but a node that actually does the swapping, and he has it in his mouth. Guy's got a big mouth. Works for him in this case. Hober steals the cleric's ship, and the two of them make it back just in time to get on board. Mallow wants to take the escape pod, but Constant injects him with something that keeps him on the ship by constantly throwing up. I guess whatever you gotta do. Riose and his husband Glewin are returning to his fleet while they plan how they'll serve the empire they despise. On board the flagship, his troops still honor him and eagerly await his orders. They leave Trantor and make the jump to Swena. Back on the desert planet, Gaal and Salvor go to leave when the ship crashes into a hole. A newly made hole created by the mining machines. Mining machines apparently don't want them to leave. The beggar makes it out just in time and starts to fly away when they get a signal there's a life form by the monument Gaal came out of. They head towards the hand of the monument, and sure enough, there's a life form there. Harry Seldon. But he died, didn't he? Callie watches them, then closes the eye of the monument. Meanwhile, the machines are beating the daylights out of the mountain, and Gaal rescues Harry just in time, getting pulled into the ship, and they can take off. Inside, Harry wakes up and is not exactly sure how he's there in a live form either. Strange things. Okay, quick little catch up here. The story introducing Bel, Riose, Swena, and the concept of the magicians was in the April 1945 issue of Astounding Science Fiction called Dead Hand. It was retitled The General when it was packaged into novel form as part 1 of Foundation and Empire, the second book in the original trilogy. Got all those numbers straight? Whew. This episode sort of mashes together the stories of the traders, the merchant princes, and the general. The traders, aka the Wedge, is sort of the leftover story. It was done by Asimov as sort of a filler to show how things got to where they were in the merchant princes, aka the big and the small. As of this episode, they only used the name of the main character, Ponyetz, as Hober's alias when meeting the Corellian leader. Everything else, from Mallow to Corell to the whole idea of the clerics in red robes, comes from the merchant princes. Now, do they get what they're using right? To be honest, the Bel Riose as presented here doesn't strike me as one who would engender fear in the galaxy, which is his key characteristic in the original story. Frankly, they seem to be more interested in his love life. We'll have to see if he becomes the person he needs to be if the story is to be adhered to in any sense. Now, the way they do Hober Mallow is obviously a riff on like Han Solo and Star-Lord, like that kind of guy, but he needs to be a bold fellow to get done what he has to get done, so it's at least interesting in that sense. I really don't know where they're going with the whole bringing Harry back to life. The only thing I can think of is having this very dramatic moment when the mule shows up, and it's not some person hundreds of years later realizing, oh, Seldon missed this, but Harry himself. We'll see if they go there. That seems to be the best course to take to have this make any sense. Next time, the added aspect of the show gets a highlight as Sarah tries to figure out what she's gotten into with Day and the other Klingons, as well as the parts from the book as Hober Mallow arrives on Terminus, whether he likes it or not. Please hit the subscribe button if you like what you're hearing. I'm John Hartar. Thanks for listening.